The Miami Hurricanes were once a college football blue blood when Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson won them 3 national titles between 1987 and 1991. Then they had arguably one of the greatest teams of all time in 2001 when they were last champs, with the likes of Willis McGahee, Frank Gore, Clinton Portis, Andre Johnson, Vernon Carey, Bryant McKinney, Kellen Winslow Jr., Roscoe Parrish, Jeremy Shockey, Antrell Roll, Mike Rumpf, Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, Philip Buchanan, Jonathan Vilma, Vince Wilfork, William Joseph, and Jerome McDougal. Of all those, only McKinney, Rumpf, and Reed were seniors, so that team should have been a dynasty. But in 2002, they lost the Natty in double overtime to Ohio State. They would win the Orange Bowl in 03 and the Peach Bowl in 04, before losing that Peach Bowl in 05 and falling into obscurity until getting back to the Orange Bowl in 2017, only to lose to the Wisconsin Badgers. Today, and in future episodes, we will work to bring them back to their once dominant ways of the 80s and early 90s and avoid a one-off year like 2001. I have gone ahead and simulated while recruiting through season number 1, which was rather successful. Isaac Turner, definitely a name you're going to want to watch out for, along with Steve Tyler. That class ranked number 4 in the country, only behind A&M, Alabama, and USC. The next season yielded another great recruiting class with Ron Graham, Jason Cruz, Curtis King, and Mike Oliver. More names to look out for. That class ended up number 1 in the nation with 5 5-star recruits. In the 2 sim seasons taking over Mario Cristobal, we were already able to go 12-2 twice, with 2 Orange Bowl wins and Miami's first ACC title. We begin gameplay with Tyler Van Dyke's final season in a Miami Hurricanes uniform. Miami started the season at number 5 in Toledo, and Van Dyke stood tough and found Colby Young for a short touchdown, his 5th of the day, to seal the win. The Canes' trip to Nebraska would amount to an easy dub, and then hosting App State with 3 amazing recruits coming into the building. It was Van Dyke with a strike to Cruz, which set up Van Dyke on the keeper later to secure the win 31-6 for Miami. Up to number 4 in the polls, but on the road in Louisville, and it was no issue as we were up 35. But Ron Graham with a nice 20-yard catch, and later in the drive, Isaac Turner coming off the bench with the backups to get a rushing score, as Van Dyke would finish with 4 touchdowns himself in a 42-0 shutout win. Wake Forest was visiting Hard Rock Stadium, and we had more banger recruits coming in to visit. Isaac Turner in again late with a yeet out to Jason Cruz that goes for 67 yards. And then he would later take it himself to the end zone to run up the score for the dub. At number 2, hosting Virginia, it was an easy win for Van Dyke and company as he had 3 touchdowns in the 24-14 victory. Next, we were on the road at Duke for an easy 31-10 win to get through mid-season undefeated. Huge top 3 battle with the rivals Florida State, and Van Dyke was down 14 as he found Restrepo way downfield for a huge gainer. After that, it would be a beauty to Elijah Arroyo, which would end up breaking Ken Dorsey's career passing touchdown record. Nice for individual play, but in the end, it's an L for the team, falling to FSU 21-28 for our first loss of the season. Number 10, Georgia Tech rolled in as we fell to number 6 in the polls, but this game could help our standing, and Van Dyke had 4 total scores to lead the Canes to a 45-17 win. Next game was on the road at Virginia Tech, and Van Dyke threw 5 more tutties for a 42-0 shutout win. Great defense, too. Big top 10 rivalry matchup with North Carolina, and we would win that as well, 41-29 in the pouring rain. That set up the final regular season game in Pittsburgh in the snow, with both teams facing big lists of injuries. Down 3 points in the third quarter, Van Dyke found Restrepo for a long touchdown completion to take the lead. Later in the third, it's Van Dyke to Colby Young in the back of the end zone to secure the Miami win, as Tyler Van Dyke is clutch in the 28-20 comeback dub. Miami finished the season at 11-1 and 8-1 in conference, and it would be a rematch against FSU in the ACC title. More top 10 goodness at Bank of America Stadium, and in sadness as the Noles would win the game 30-10. That dropped Van Dyke to third in the Heisman and would put our Canes in the Orange Bowl again, this time against Michigan. Utah would upset Ohio State 16-3, and Georgia took out USC 36-29 in the playoff semifinal games. And in the national championship, it would be Georgia over Utah 44-24. Congrats, Bulldogs. Orange Bowl would have Michigan facing our Miami Hurricanes, and it was too easy, as Turner would get more experience with a brilliant touchdown throw to get ready for his starting campaign next season. Van Dyke ends his Hurricanes career with a wonderful performance, and we get another Orange Bowl win by a score of 48-13. Parrish breaks Duke Johnson's career rushing record by nearly 500 yards. He also breaks the school career rushing touchdown record by 8. Tyler Van Dyke is the new school season record holder for passing yards, blowing Bernie Kosar away. He also broke Brad Kaya's career passing yards record as well as Ken Dorsey's career passing touchdown record. Restrepo breaks the school career reception record set by Reggie Wayne and the school career receiving yards record set by Santana Moss. He also broke the school career receiving touchdown record by just one. Tyler Van Dyke with 44 touchdowns, 9 picks on the year. What a season for him. 3 straight 12-2 seasons. Let's see if we can do a little bit better. We have lots of big losses to the professional ranks, but all the players lost are seniors except the amazing receiver transferring to Houston. Boo. It's another incredible recruiting class found focusing on defense, and it amounts to the second-ranked recruiting class behind the Natty champs, Georgia. Isaac Turner will take over as starting quarterback this season, and his supporting cast is beginning to blossom as many of the recruits brought in these last few years are starting to get their chances. The season would start at home against number 24 Toledo, and things weren't looking great as the offensive line was not providing Turner with any good blocking. But he was able to break free to the right and let one loose to Ron Graham downfield for a long touchdown. But unfortunately, that was not enough as Toledo would hold off for a big upset win. Against Baylor, it didn't look much better for us, but Turner was doing all he could to come back with a nice run up the left-hand side and then a dime of a throw into the end zone for the touchdown. However, Baylor was able to play keep away from us, and they would win the football game 31-17. Into conference play at home against Wake Forest, we dropped to number 16. We would finally win a game, 31-10 over the Deeks. Notre Dame rolled into Hard Rock, and it was tied at 21 in the fourth quarter until Isaac Turner finds Jaleel Skinner for a dot across the middle, and then another one to Jaleel Skinner after that for 28 yards. Later, Turner would roll right, but throw back to the middle of the field to Steve Tyler for a dime piece of a touchdown and the lead. Then it was the Hurricane defense making a mess of Steve Angeli's face to secure a 28-21 win. No change in the rankings, but on the road against NC State. And it was a close game, but Isaac Turner is a talented man. What a run by the QB. Then it's Jaleel Skinner, who gets open so easily all the time, followed by Mike Oliver, who would sneak himself into the end zone to secure the Miami dub, with Turner scoring 4 touchdowns in the 37-21 win. Now at number 9 in the rankings, and on a foggy day at Florida State, it was a 7-point game until Jaleel Skinner blows the defense away. Absolutely no shot anybody would catch him. Easy money. Still a tight game late in the game, and Ron Graham has come up big in games before. What a grab by him. Why not get the rushing touchdown for Isaac Turner while we're at it? Run it up on the Noles as the Canes win. Climb back to number 8 in the polls, and on the road in Virginia, it was an easy 51-7 win. No shot for the winless Cavaliers. Then we were home to play the Blue Devils, and recruits were lining up for this one. It was closer than expected, but it was Ron Graham wide open for an easy catch. That would be followed by Jaleel Skinner on the toe drag swag. That would nab a 32-12 win at home. Number 4, Miami on the road against Georgia Tech. Well, that's easy money, 34-11, as the Hurricanes seem to have found their groove. Virginia Tech was ranked and coming into the building, and they had a close game with us, but the Isaac Turner to Ron Graham connection was just too much for them, and Miami would take the dub. Up to number 3 after starting 0-2 on the season, and it's North Carolina sitting at 8 in the polls. Turner drops back and finds Jaleel Skinner, what a shocker, for 45 whole yards. And then he would go right back to him for that 3-yard touchdown strike. Late in the game, it's an absolute laser into Steven Tyler to set up a 3rd and 7 for a play that went right back to Tyler in the back of the end zone as the Canes took the game 35-32 in a dogfight. Final game of the regular season, hosting Pittsburgh, and they were up 4 points in the 4th until Turner found a wide open Steve Tyler for a metric ton of yards before taking the read option himself into the end zone for the winning score. Miami would hold on 24-18 to secure the ACC title spot. Miami went 10-2 on the season, but 9-0 in the ACC. They would take on Syracuse, who went 9-3, 7-2 in the ACC. So the AC title game it was, and it was too easy for Miami, the 38-20 win over the Syracuse Orange. That means Miami makes it back to the CFP, and Isaac Turner would win the Heisman Trophy for it. Miami would take on Washington, but first, Ohio State with a 45-42 win over Texas. What a game that was. Time for the semis at the Benzo versus Washington, and Khalil Brantley would find a way to get himself a rushing touchdown to extend the Canes' lead to 17 points, before later on, Turner finding Jason Cruz for a big gainer downfield, and after that, it's Turner taking off himself and showing off them legs into the end zone. Turner would add another swaggy play as the last play of the game, and he would get in for a diving score to run it up 52-21 and knock off the number 1 Huskies. That puts Miami in the Natty against the team they lost their last Natty appearance to, the Buckeyes. Raymond James Stadium, essentially a home game, and Miami is down. Turner was getting used and abused by the OSU D-line and tried to press it downfield, throwing an interception. OSU was up 21-10, and he was still getting abused by their defense. To make matters worse, an actual good pass to Graham was called a fumble on the field, and it was taken all the way to the house for an Ohio State touchdown by the safety Sonny Styles. But upon further review, it was reversed, and Isaac Turner still getting a beat down by the D-line, but his kicker also couldn't help him and missed a field goal that would have gotten it to 1 score. Knowing that he was on his own, Isaac Turner used his yeeter of an arm to score this bomb of a touchdown to Ron Graham for 62 yards downfield. But that wasn't enough, as Ohio State would win the Natty 21-17. And despite the heartbreak, Turner broke Van Dyke's season passing yards record. Tyler broke Restrepo's season receiving yards record, and Turner had 5,200 yards, 42 TDs, and 15 interceptions. Not bad for a first-year starter while running for 8 touchdowns. 3 1,000-yard receivers on the squad is nothing to sneeze at either. An ACC title and Peach Bowl win gets added to the list, and now we have more losses to the team. But the eligible juniors for the draft will actually stay with us. In addition, we added an incredible recruiting class with 6 80-plus overall players. The trenches were a heavy focus this season, and it's easily the number 1 recruiting class in the nation with 11 4-star recruits. Another tough schedule is upcoming, though, with Iowa, Notre Dame, and Kentucky all ranked in our out-of-conference slate. Isaac Turner is looking unstoppable in his junior redshirt season, but is he actually? Find out next time.